What up, what up? This is Ace the OG, back with another topic, back with another video. So the topic of this video is going to be, the title is going to be Young Black Men from the Suburbs Want to Be Gangsters. So admin notes, thanks again to all subscribe to the channel. I endeavor to keep pushing the video out, give you leverage to better yourselves. So let's get into it. So, young black men from the suburbs want to be gangsters. So, I'll talk about this topic a little bit because, this has been going on for a very long time. As I said before in previous videos, I'm from the projects, was raised in the projects until I was 20 years old when I joined the military. So, I have a little bit of insight when it comes to this, but from my perspective, I think the way things were when I was growing up in the hood is a little bit different than how it is now. I think it's a lot worse. But I'm gonna give some scenarios, some real life things that happened to me, to give young black men that's watching this video some perspective on the path that they may be taking right now, and for them to make a decision as to whether they want to really go down this path or not. All right. So, like I said, I was raised in the projects till I was 20. I actually lived in two projects. I lived in one that was walking distance from downtown Norfolk until I was 13 years old. And then there was doing some renovation in the part of the projects I was from. And my grandmother, who was actually the person that was on the lease of the project home that we was in, it was me, my grandmother, my mom, and my brother. And they moved us into a temporary housing at the other projects. And then once they asked if she wanted to move back, she said no, because where we was at in the other projects was a little bit safer. It was facing the main highway, so we was kind of like on the outskirts of that particular projects. So even though I was still around a lot of bad stuff and it saw a lot of bad stuff, I guess my grandmother at the time felt like that, because we was facing the main road, that we could be shielded a little bit to a certain degree from some of the things that was going on. So she decided for us to stay there. Like I said, I was 13 when that happened. And then, of course, when I turned 20, I left and joined the military. So some of the things that happened to me when I was growing up in the projects, I've had folk shoot in front of my house, not shoot at my house, like trying to, hurt anybody in my house, but I've had people that actually came on my porch that either was getting shot at or they were shooting at somebody. I've seen folks get shot. I've seen folks get stabbed. I've seen folks get beat to the point where they almost died. I've seen folks sell drugs in front of my house. I've seen folks shoot up, smoke drugs. I've seen folks have seizures because of drugs, seizures because of alcoholism. Just a plethora of things that kids should not be seeing growing up, right? And, because I was raised in that environment, when you're raised in an environment like that, and that's all you see from birth, you get numb to it, you know what I'm saying? And it's not one of those things that you don't sense the danger, because I knew it was dangerous. From a very early age, I knew that things could go left very quickly anytime I left the house, right? But because this was an everyday occurrence, the mind adapts. It really does, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think that folks that live in the projects, they're not necessarily scared of their environment, because you learn how to move around that environment very quickly at an early age, right? And you know how to deal with things, you know how to deal with the streets. Even if you're not in the streets, you know how to deal with the streets. And I wasn't in the streets. I wasn't in the streets in the sense that I was out there doing a lot of nefarious things, if that makes any sense, right? I wasn't banging. I wasn't going out there stealing, robbing people, beating people up, all these other things. I wasn't doing that stuff, right? And my grandmother and my mom, they really kept a hold of me and my brother when it came to those things. Now, with them being, and with me being in the household without a father figure, without somebody that could guide me in the right direction, there was some temptation there. It really was, right? I remember I think I was 11. Yeah, it was middle school, right? Middle school, and me and one of my homeboys, one of my close friends, was bullying this white kid for his Nintendo games. This is 1990, right? So Nintendo was a big thing, right? And, you know, we was having this kid bringing his Nintendo games to us like every other day, and we would never give them back to him. To this day, I feel so bad about that, you know, and I'm 46 right now, you know. But, you know, that was just one of those things. That's one of those scenarios that I remember growing up that, you know, I'm not proud of. But, you know, also being raised in the projects is like you don't really have any sympathy for people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of the things, like it's a dog eat dog world, and like if I don't have something, I'm just gonna take it. Now I didn't steal from him to a certain degree, you know what I'm saying, but my friend did, and I didn't say anything about it. I'm laughing at it the whole time, you know what I'm saying, because I felt like he was weak. I felt like he was a punk. But you know, in hindsight, you know, that was a very bad and immature thing to do to that kid during that time. So that's all to say that, you know, when it comes to the topic of, I see kids these days that are raised in two-parent households, raised in nice homes, nice neighborhoods, never saw drugs in their life to a certain degree, right? You know what I'm saying? Never dealt with, you know, being in the gang, being around gangs, dealing with weapons when it comes to guns, knives, bats, all these other things. And they gravitate to this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And of course, media as a whole, when it comes to social media, TV, videos, TV shows, all these things, they glorify these type of things. And as a man, as a young black man, you know, it's one of those things that I think these kids really feel like that in order to be a real man, they have to be the hardest person out there. And the media pushes these things on these young black men to be this way. And it's a sad situation because, you know, for the most part, I've raised my kids in a very nice, safe environment. And my oldest son, at one point, was really gravitating to this type of stuff. And, you know, being a person that's from the projects, I instilled in him over and over again, like, this is not what you want, man. It's not what you want, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, your dad was raised in that environment, you know, and I didn't have no choice being raised in that environment, you know what I'm saying? My mom, my grandmother was in the projects when I was born. So, you know, I didn't have no choice, right? That's the life I live. You know what I'm saying? That's the hand that God dealt me. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm in a space in my life where, like, I really feel like it really molded me to the man I am now. And it could have had me go left, but it didn't have me go left. You know, I actually, being in that environment actually encouraged me even more that I did not want to be in that environment. You know, I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. I didn't want that, right? I was content with being in that environment because of me being raised in it, but that's not what I wanted for the rest of my life. I knew that from a very early age. I did not want to be that way. But, you know, I had plenty of friends of mine, plenty of peers of mine that I was raised with that are dead right now, that are, you know, locked up. And I've had some that are actually doing a lot better. You know, they're really doing good for themselves. So kudos to them. Shout out to them. You know, because the environment we was raised in was nothing nice. It really wasn't, you know. We didn't have a lot of positive influence when it came to us being raised in that environment. And of course, you know, we had our moms, we had our grandparents. They tried to show us the right path. And thank God for my mom, my grandmother for doing that for me. But then I had some friends that their mom was the one that was dealing drugs. Their mom was the one that was actually pimping girls out of their house, being bootleggers and all these other things, you know what I'm saying? So some of my peers, they didn't have a chance, you know what I'm saying? Like they really was pushing to this thing, not by choice, you know. They literally was raised in this type of environment, and it was like they could not see past what they were in, right? So it's like my mom's doing it, my dad might be locked up, or he's not here living with me, but he's doing the same thing, so I'm gonna be the same way. That's really how it works, you know what I'm saying? Men are very impressionable when it comes to these type of environments. And you know, it's a sad situation, but that's like I said, that's the hand that we was dealt. But like I said, I made it out, and a lot of my friends made it out, but I have a lot of friends that didn't make it out, right? And this is all to say that the young black men that I see these days that were raised in an environment that was 10 times better than mine, for them to gravitate and want to gang bang, want to shoot people, want to rob people, it hurts my heart. It's a really sad situation. Shooting somebody doesn't make you a man. Stabbing somebody doesn't make you a man. It doesn't make you a stand-up person, right? Stealing from folks doesn't make you a stand-up person. Robbing folks doesn't make you a stand-up person. just doing all these crimes and being a criminal doesn't make you a stand-up person. It makes you a stand-down person. That's what it really does for you. And like I said, social media is a big factor in this. It really is. But it's like a lot of young black men don't have respect. They don't have respect for themselves, because if you're gonna put yourself in a situation like that, even though you may have been raised in that environment, but I'm talking to the young men that was not raised in that environment. Like, you intentionally are going out there doing these type of things, and it's like you're not gangster, y'all. I'm telling you, I can show you some real gangsters and killers, tigers and gorillas. I can really show you that. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't one of them, right? But I was raised around these folks. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good life to live. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good life for you to be around here looking over your shoulder 24/7, being paranoid, having PTSD, because having PTSD from the streets is real. I have PTSD from the streets and from being in the military, so I have the double whammy, right? But you have kids out there that are, like I said, raised in excellent environments, have parents that are stand-up people, they're honorable people, and they have their sons out here literally doing like the total opposite of what they were trying to raise them as. And it's a sad situation. And I really believe that a lot of these kids that are out there doing these type of things, they are influenced with a fantasy when it comes to social media. You know what I'm saying? Because you really don't want that. For the most part, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying most young black men don't want that. Now, there are some young black men out there, to include some of my friends, folks that I was raised with, that deserve to be in jail. And they don't deserve to be on the streets, because they really are that guy. They really are gangsters. They really are killers, right? So, like I said, they were folks that I was raised around. You know what I'm saying? I love them to death. They were my boys. You know what I'm saying? But real is real, and a lot of those folks that I was raised around, they really did some things without no remorse, right? So, do they deserve to be out there like that? I mean, I really don't. I really believe they don't need to be, right? They are a detriment to society. I just pray for them, and I hope that God shows them the right path while they're incarcerated. But the ones out there that watching this video right now, they are actually in the suburbs. They live in a nice house, you know what I'm saying? Their parents making good money. They got both parents in the house. I didn't have both parents in the house, right? So they're getting good influence from both parents, the mom and the father, right? And they still want to be out there doing these things that sounds absolutely ridiculous, sounds crazy. You don't want to be a gangster. You don't want to be out there. I promise you don't, right? One of the things that happened to me when I was a teenager, I'll never forget it. I was walking with one of my homeboy Kenny. Shout out to him. Shout out to Kenny. My best friend at the time, right? And we walking back from the basketball court, and he was still in the old projects that I was raised in. I was in the other projects. Those two projects might have been, I don't know, maybe less than a mile away. It wasn't far at all, right? So one day we walking back to his house from the basketball court, from the projects I was in, back to his house, and there was a parking lot, huge parking lot that was adjacent to this church, and that was the quickest path for us to go back to his house from my house. So we walking there. It's broad daylight. Had it been maybe like, I don't know, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was summertime. And this car screeches in the parking lot and pulls up on us. And a guy pulls up with a .45 pointed in my face. This is a real story. I put this on everything. And I'm assuming he had his girlfriend with him in the passenger seat. And I could see this look in his eyes, like it was like a death stare. It really was. It was like one of those things, like he really was going to shoot me dead. Thank God he didn't. And the girlfriend she reaches over his shoulder and looks at me. And she said, "No, that's not him. That's not him." And he literally says, like, "This your lucky day, MF," and pulls off. This is a true story. I promise you it is. And I mean, my life flashed before my eyes, because I could have been shot and killed and wouldn't be here right now had his girlfriend not been there. Right now, I don't know if this guy was on drugs. I don't know if he was looking for this guy that did his girlfriend wrong. But I mean, this is the type of life that I was raised in the projects. And I wasn't a gangster, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't somebody out there doing things. I was just minding my business with my best friend, walking home from the basketball court to his house, and my head could have been blown off, just like that, had it not been for his girlfriend in the car, telling him that I wasn't the guy that he was looking for. So young black men, that have not been raised in this environment, and you don't know nothing about being a gangster, you don't know nothing about killing somebody, you don't know nothing about selling drugs, doing all these nefarious things out there. Stay yourself in the house. Like, get an education, get a good job, start your own business. Do something other than gangbanging. Do something else. Please do. Because this is not the life you want. It really isn't. You know, living the gangster life has an end game. And the end game is really either two choices. Either you're gonna be dead or you're gonna be locked up. One of the two. There is no in between, right? There is no happy ever after. There's no like, I'm just gonna do this or whatever, and then I'm not gonna make a choice to do better, and then eventually things are gonna get better. You have to make a choice. You have to be in a situation, in a mindset where like, I want to have better for myself. And glorifying these things and putting yourself in a situation that you don't necessarily have to be in because you was raised in a good environment is not smart. It's ignorant. It really is, you know. So this is not a video to disrespect y'all. This is to impart some knowledge into you guys and to pretty much let you know what you're doing right now, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't, you know. I wish I was in a single family home with parents having good money. That wasn't the life I was raised in. But look this is my house back here, right? Something I worked hard for, right? Something that I thought that I would never ever thought I would see in life. Real talk, when I was growing up, I thought people that lived in homes were rich. That's what I thought. And it was blind ignorance on my part because I didn't know any better, right? I couldn't see past my situation, you know what I'm saying? So any black person that I saw that was in a home, I thought they was rich. I thought it was filthy rich. I thought they had a lot of money, right? And some of them was on food stamps and was doing worse than I was, right? But I couldn't see my situation. You guys don't see life through the lens that I saw life as because you guys wasn't raised in that environment, right? So not to belabor the topic, to belabor the video, but stay home, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a better life for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Don't gangbang. Don't go out here and do nefarious things and try to be a gangster because it's an end game. Either you're going to be dead or you're going to be locked up. And you have to make a decision of where you want to be. And I hope and pray you guys don't take the latter, all right? So if you want me to discuss a topic or a subject you think is beneficial to the channel, email me at findingfitnessfolk@gmail.com. My email is in the description below. Finding Fitness and Folk, Triple F, I'm gone.